Hey guys, in this video we're going to go over how to draw a building in two-point perspective using a reference. Okay, materials you're going to need are shown right over here: pencil, eraser, sharpener. We're also going to be working with a thin Sharpie, as well as a good ruler with a nice clean straight edge. This is the reference image that I'm going to be drawing for, and I'll refer back to it from time to time to point out what areas that I'm going to be looking at. But mainly, you're just going to want to follow along with the lines that I draw. This is Falling Water. It's an architectural project by Frank Lloyd Wright, really legendary American architect. Okay, this is arguably his most famous project, this home built over a waterfall. It's quite beautiful. So let's get into this. First, let's draw a horizon line. This is just a regular letter size paper, and you want to draw a horizon line that's roughly like 2.5 inches up from the bottom edge. Okay, draw this line very, very lightly. Just a horizon line like that, even lighter than I'm going right there. I'm just doing it at that darkness so it's visible in the video. After that, we want to define our vanishing points. Take it to as close to the edge as you can. Okay, that's the first vanishing point, and then the second vanishing point, very close to the edge over here as well. In the reference image, this large rectangular block is what we're going to first try to map out, because it's the most prominent piece of geometry there, okay? And then that's what we're going to use to start mapping out all the rest of the smaller rectangular prisms around, okay? So, beginning at this vanishing point, lay your pencil, the tip of your pencil right on the point, and then place your ruler's edge right up against the pencil, okay? And then pivot it around that point, and you want the angle to be right about what you see over here. That I'd estimate that about somewhere between, I don't know, like 8 or 10 degrees. Let's draw a light line. This is a light construction line. Okay. And a few inches away from the left side of the paper, make a mark right over there. And at this point, you're going to draw a line that intersects with the left side vanishing point. Okay? This is the first kind of triangle we're drawing to map out. Let's see. Kind of looking back and forth here. This is a little too steep. It's a little too steep. So let's adjust that. I'm going to lay my pencil tip right on the left side vanishing point, lay my ruler right up against it, and then looks like about that angle is a lot better. It's a lot more accurate. It's about 45 degrees. Okay, so try to get this same triangle set up for yourself. After you've got these two lines, draw a small vertical line. We're still working with very, very light construction lines. Okay. This line over here, let's set it to be about 1/2 inch long. And then from this bottom point and the left and the right side vanishing point, go ahead, draw another construction line between those 2 points. And then again, from that point to the left side vanishing point. Okay. Right about over here, I'm going to make a mark to determine how deep this goes, and you can draw a vertical line just like that. And from the bottom, where that vertical line intersects with this orthogonal line, right there, we're going to draw a line between that point and the right side vanishing point right here. We're seeing some of that long rectangular geometry coming out right there. Okay. This goes on for a little bit. I'd say up to about this point over here. Okay. I'm going to lightly draw in a bumpy line to represent the tree that's in front of this this particular photograph. Okay. So this shape over here is the beginning of that. It's the beginning geometry that we're going to base everything else off of. Okay. I'm going to darken in just slightly the lines that we're going to keep. Okay. Next, let's go ahead and let's see, what should we do? So what we just got is what I'm mousing over right now. Okay. We just mapped that large rectangular block in. What I'm noticing is that it's not just a single rectangular block. There's an opening over here where the staircase goes through, and the bottom surface actually extends farther in. Okay. Let's go for mapping out this rock wall as well as the staircase here, but starting with the rock wall. So that rock wall, the beginning of it is slightly to the right side of this corner over here. Okay, I'm going to make a mark right about there. You can draw a small vertical line just very, very lightly. And another vertical line right next to it, kind of like that. Okay. Now from this point, we want to define the left face of that wall. And to do that, I'm going to draw an orthogonal line from the top of the wall to the left side vanishing point. And right here, I got to decide how high this wall is. Okay. I'm going to mark it right about there. It's a little more than ½ an inch. And then I need another orthogonal line receding back. Okay. And then the depth of the wall goes right about there. Okay. The bottom side of this wall on the right side, it recedes back to this corner right over here. So that's the bottom that I just drew. And then, like I pointed out, this line over here that I'm pointing at, I'm going to actually lighten that up because I know that the bottom surface of this block actually goes farther back. It doesn't quite end there. Okay. Now, in order to give myself a kind of visual cue and like a landmark to go off of, I'm going to add in a small amount of detail to indicate that this is the brick wall. Okay. To do that, I'm going to lightly draw in a construction line receding back so I have some markers to so I can tell what direction the bricks should be going. Okay. So these are the general guidelines, and then within here, I'm going to add in some lines, keeping in mind that all of these lines should look like they recede back to either vanishing point. Okay. Kind of jogs in a little bit there. Has a bit of a plinth. We're not drawing every single brick, We're just giving it some texture. Okay. Now let's see. How far down do we see those staircases? If I were to continue this line that I lightened up, I would say the staircases begin right about at this point along this lightened up line. Okay. I first want to map out the underside of the hole, right? So from this point over here, I'm going to lay my ruler up against that point and align it to the left side vanishing point. Okay. And then right about there is about how wide the staircase is. So I'm going to lay my ruler right up against that point and also align it to the right side vanishing point and draw a line like that. Just very lightly. Looks like I'm going to need to move this jagged line. I need a little more space for that, for the staircases. Let me see. The bottom of the staircases is going to be at the same level as the bottom of this wall. Okay, so from the bottom of this wall to the right side vanishing point, I'm going to extend that orthogonal line. So I have a point of reference. And then from this point and that point, let's start over here. Right over here, I'm going to draw a vertical line right up until it intersects with that orthogonal line. And then the same goes for over here. It actually extends farther down, right? If I were to draw it as a, or sketch it out as a hidden line, but then we're not going to see it beyond that plane. Okay. For now, we're just going to map out the staircase as a solid block, even though we know it's not a solid block, but just to get the correct dimension of it and the positioning of it. Looking back at the stairs, let's count them out. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, somewhere around 13 or 14 treads. Okay. This is getting pretty granular with it. Let me see. How can we do this most effectively? Right over here, I'll draw a light diagonal line to show the slope, the overall slope of the stairs. And let's start splitting up this vertical line over here into small segments by drawing some points, okay, lightly. So halfway point right there, we just split it into 2 segments. Quarters, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stairs now. Half again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's just keep it at that. I can't really draw even more stairs. We just want an approximation anyway. Okay. Now from these tiny points, you want to align your ruler to the right side vanishing point, and then lightly draw these construction lines so that you can know what direction those treads should be looking like, should be going in. Okay. On the left side of that diagonal, we're not going to need these lines anymore. So go ahead and erase those. Those are just construction lines. Now along that diagonal, go ahead and darken in these stairs like you see over here. Go ahead and also draw a second diagonal that's parallel. It's pretty much parallel to the first one you drew. Now from the front side and the back side over here, you're going to be seeing these lines recede back into the left side vanishing point. These are small details. Even so, you want to try and make it as accurate as you can. It's good practice. And then here, you've got the base of what you can start working with to draw out the rest of those lines for the stairs. Okay, these construction lines on the right side we don't need anymore. However, we do want to keep the two lines that we use to define the opening in this rectangular block where the stairs are going through. Okay, and in this reference we see some vertical railings going down, meeting each step. So you can add some lines there lightly. Okay. So let's extend these lines and the dark lines a little bit more. We don't need this construction line anymore. But I'm going to go ahead and darken in these lines as well. Okay. Now I have a little more of an accurate idea of where the tree line should be at, just about there. Okay. There's some supports on the underside over here. We're going to want to capture this line, right, from the top side of the wall, receding back to the right side vanishing point. Right here at the corner where the stairs begin and that opening is, we see a structure that looks something like this. Okay, and another one kind of evenly spaced like that, and they kind of come in at an angle and they're identical. Okay, from the top left corners of each one, you're going to draw a line receding back to the left side vanishing point, like you see me doing here. And you can go ahead and erase portions of that initial top line that we used to define the top edges of these. Okay, so these are the structural supports underneath this this cantilevering rectangular block right there. Okay, and those recede back in space. So we got the underside of falling water. Let's go ahead and take a look at the top side and what that's looking like. Oh, before I move beyond that, let's just finish off this portion over here. A small vertical line like so. Here we go. That's the underside of falling water. Next, let's take a look at what I'm mousing over right now, the top structure that's sitting on top of this main rectangular block. Okay, got a lot of window mullion details over here, as well as a second kind of rectangular prism jutting outwards. So if I were to estimate the size of, let's start with the window, right? Starts right about here. That's where the corner is. So you could lightly draw a vertical line. And then it ends just beyond the top tread of the staircase. So you could draw another vertical line there. From the top of the windows, which are about here, you're going to draw a orthogonal line that aligns with this right side vanishing point. Okay, so this is the kind of front face. And then from that same corner, draw another line that recedes back to the left side vanishing point. Okay, so that's blocking in the windows. Let's add in some details for the mullions. Nice double line like that. Another double line right about here. So we're kind of drawing out the wood slats. Okay. And then this is kind of divided into fourths. Looks like we have an open window, slightly open window over here. And then right there, we have some mullions that are horizontal, looking kind of like that. So that's the window block. Let's go ahead and map in the cantilevering kind of rectangular prism right above it. This line we want to continue. Okay, so this is the top of the windows. But we want to lightly draw a construction line extending out that way. And right about here, draw a point with a light vertical line. And this is where we're going to define the corner of this cantilever. Align it with the right side vanishing point. Okay. The height of this is going to be the same as the height of that. So make sure it's not any thicker or too small. And from this point, go ahead and align your ruler between that point and the left side vanishing point, and draw a line until it intersects with this line over here. Okay. Drawing lightly again, align your ruler to that top corner as well as to the right side vanishing point. Lightly draw a line like that. Now, this block up here, right over here, just below this top right corner of the window block, lay your ruler right up against that point and align it to the left vanishing point and draw this diagonal that you see there. And then from this intersection, you could bring it up in a small vertical line, and that is this block mapped out. We're going to add in this small overhang over here. Okay, so that's on the left side of the windows. Starts at about this point. Align your ruler to the right side vanishing point. Draw a small line like so. Ends right about over here. From this point, align your ruler to the left side vanishing point and draw out that line until it intersects with that line. Tiny vertical line, give it some thickness. Okay, and then do the same for the left face. Align it to the right side vanishing point. And then finish it off with a vertical line like that. Between this point and that point, you can darken that in slightly. Okay, so it's shaping up. There's another small overhang over here. This little platform right there. So let's start there before we move on to the larger, more vertical structures. Okay. So mark a point approximately there. And then you're going to align your ruler to the right side vanishing point. Lightly draw a construction line extending that away. It extends out to about this point, just beyond this corner. So mark a point right there. From that point to the left side vanishing point, align your ruler like that. Draw a light construction line. Okay. And then just beyond this corner, make a mark, align it to the right side vanishing point as well as that point you made, and draw a line like that. We want to give this some thickness, the same thickness as what we put there, just a small vertical line. Align it to the top of that and the left side vanishing point. Finish it off with a small vertical line right there. And that top corner to the right side vanishing point. Draw it all the way until it intersects with this line over here, the top side of that block that we finished up on the other side. I'm going to darken some of these lines in to make sure that the geometry reads. Okay. So we have this overhang. You can sketch in, since there's an abundance of construction geometry there, you can sketch in that little box right there with some windows, kind of looking like that. Okay. Okie doke. Let's move on to the rest of the structure, the tallest point of the structure. Okay. Mark a point at about that point, as well as right over here, and draw two very light vertical lines to map out the tall, I'm assuming that's like a chimney, okay? The height of it extends to about this point, so make a mark there. From that point to the right side vanishing point, align those two lines. And then from this top corner, align your ruler to that point, as well as to the right side, left side vanishing point. Draw a light construction line there. And then, let's see, the depth of this chimney is about here. So you could draw a very light construction line there and darken just this portion in. All right. We have a small, tiny overhang that kind of bridges the space between this brick chimney and then it bridges this kind of vertical structure with the next one. Let's worry about that after we map in the other structure. So just a tiny amount to the left of this vertical line. Lay your ruler vertically and then draw in two very light, very light vertical lines, okay? At about the same width as these two vertical lines, or a little bit thinner actually, a little bit thinner. Okay. This corner over here is approximately how high this left side structure is. So make a mark at about this point. And then from that point, align your ruler so that it aligns with that point you marked and the right side vanishing point, and draw an orthogonal line to mark the top of this structure. And then from that point again, let's align your ruler to the left side vanishing point and draw a light line receding back towards it. Okay. Now that small overhang that I talked about, that kind of bridges these two, it's a little tricky. Okay. Make a mark right about over here. Okay. Align your ruler to the right side vanishing point. Make a small construction line like that. And then at this point right over here, it's actually going to jog towards us. So align your ruler to the left side vanishing point on that point. Draw a light line like that. It doesn't extend out too far, but right about there. Align your ruler with that point and the right side vanishing point. There we go. And then we can give it some thickness. Same way we've been doing. So the top of that vertical line that I just drew, I'm aligning it with the left side vanishing point. We can finish it off on the left side with a small vertical line. And that same top corner, I'm aligning it with the right side vanishing point. Extending it about that far. It's a little too thick. I don't want it to look any thicker than the rest of the more flat planar element, so I'm going to make an adjustment with my ruler. Make it visibly thinner. Terminates right about there. Okay. And then here I'm going to estimate. It's sort of an L-shaped platform that overhangs. Okay. Just like that. I'm going to erase some of these construction lines. It's a small piece, but it's one of those things that adds a little bit more detail. Let's darken in some of these vertical lines. Okay. And then you can finish off the vertical line over here until it intersects with this top edge of the of that little bridging platform. I'm going to adjust this line a tiny bit because it's a little askew. Now, my paper is getting pretty dirty because of all the sliding I'm doing with my ruler. So you want to make sure that your tools are as clean as possible. So don't do what I did, okay? The underside of my ruler is smudging things around. It might happen for you, but not a big deal for an exercise like this, but for a really important drawing that you're spending a lot of time on, you want to minimize that kind of thing. So from this corner and that corner, let's bring two lines down, two vertical lines. And you're going to skip this portion you're not going to intersect with this front rectangular piece. Okay, so from these two vertical lines coming down, and right about at this point, we'll see another vertical line come down in the same manner. And then from here, you see a lot of detail in terms of the window mullions. Okay, what I'm talking about is these window mullions that we see. Okay, they're very regular, and it gives that portion of the architecture a real sense of rhythm. So as much as possible, we want to recreate that. Okay, let's first start with this face. All of the mullions on that side are going to align to the orthogonal lines that recede back to the right side vanishing point. So lay a ruler, align it with that. Draw a line. See how I have my pencil tip on the vanishing point? So I could use it as a guide. I'm just going to tilt my ruler a little bit, draw another line, and then repeat this process, making the spacing between these mullions as even as you can. Oop. Okay, we don't see too many of those mullions coming down over here. There's some other elements that actually end up covering it up. So just the top portion. And for every corner that we have over here, those actually, for the left side face, those recede back to the left side vanishing point. Okay. This takes work, but the results are worth it. Okay. I'm going to start over here at the bottom, put one in the middle, and the rest of them I'm going to estimate by eye. Okay, so we have a better sense of rhythm right there. Right about here, we have a mullion. It's more spaced apart. Just a little bit left for the house, and then we can move on to the natural elements. Okay. Before we do that, I think we can add in some material details for this structure and that structure. It's actually the same kind of brick detailing that we added over there. Okay, so I have a frame of reference. I'm going to add a construction line right there and a construction line over here, so I have a general idea of what direction the brick should be going in. Okay, and then from this point I could sketch in the texture. These are long stone bricks that Frank Lloyd Wright managed to find. A lot of the materials that he specified for this house was, from what I understand, it was sourced from just locally, from what was around. You know, you'll see some really beautiful interior details if you ever check this out, of the central hearth that was made from a boulder that was found on site. Okay. So the way you want to delineate this texture is you're not trying to draw every brick, but mostly you're going to be drawing these orthogonal lines with a few vertical lines interspersed. Okay. We want to do the same for this face. So align your ruler over here. Give yourself a few reference kind of lines so that you know the general direction of the bricks that you're drawing. Here's another way you can do this. Add in a few flicks here and there to start with, some vertical flicks. Not too many, just a couple here and there. And then those are what you can use to map in some natural looking bricks. Okay. Okay, cool. It gives it some texture, and it helps to differentiate that piece of structure from the rest of what's going on in the building. Okay. There's a couple more elements. On the left side over here, we have a couple more, just like two more, essentially, just two more blocks, and we're done with the building. Everything else, we don't really have to rely on the ruler for because they're trees, they're boulders, it's foliage, okay? So right about over here, draw a small vertical line, and that's going to be that balcony that's overlooking the left side of the site. On the bottom and top side of that line you drew, draw some lines that recede back to this right side vanishing point. It doesn't jut out too much, but right about here, draw a vertical line. And then from the top and bottom of that vertical line, you're going to have those recede back into the right side vanishing point. I'm sorry, the left side vanishing point. I mix up my left and right sometimes. Draw a vertical line approximately there. And then from the bottom side, align your ruler to the right side vanishing point. Draw a line like so. And from this corner, let's see. Yeah, let's just simplify it a little bit. From this corner, go ahead and align the ruler from that corner to the left side vanishing point, and then finish off that box. Okay. Let's see. Right about over here is where the rest of the is a small vertical line. Okay, it's the rest of the brick wall kind of coming down. Now, let's see. Draw another vertical line over here, approximately. Now, from this point, we're going to map out that other, that last rectangular block. I'm going to actually extend it down a little bit farther. There we go. Align your ruler to the right side vanishing point, as well as this bottom point right there. And let's just extend this all the way out, okay? Draw a vertical line that's approximately the same size as this line over here. maybe a little bit shorter. Align your ruler to the right side vanishing point and that bottom line. Extend that all the way out as well. Almost there. From the bottom side, this corner, align that to the left side vanishing point. Small orthogonal line. Make a mark right about there. Align your ruler to the right side vanishing point and that point you just made. And then that corner right there. Let that recede back into the vanishing point there. And then here, you can start sketching stuff in, okay? I think we're at least done with all the orthogonal lines for this, all right? A little architectural drawing tip. Whenever you see an edge that quote-unquote touches air, that's an edge that you can darken in, okay? So this top edge right over here would be something you darken in as well as this. Whereas the underside and these edges, not so much. You can kind of leave them a little bit lighter. I forgot a small vertical line there and there. Okay, there's a bit of thickness here. Okay, now let's place this falling water into its context. You can finish out the brick texture on the left side of this structure over here. Just making sure that the lines approximately all recede back to the left side vanishing point. Okay. Give it some texture, give it some life. Let's go back over here. Okay, I'm going to darken in some of these edges that are touching air. Going back to the left side, we can start to erase some of the construction lines that you know you're not going to need anymore. Let's start drawing in some of the trees and the plant life, okay, and probably most importantly, the waterfall itself. So this line that I started drawing over here, it's a small drawing, guys, because we needed space to extend out towards the. We needed to establish those vanishing points as far away from each other as possible, essentially, is what I'm trying to say. If they were any closer, there'd be a lot more distortion on the building itself, and it wouldn't look very natural overall. Okay, so I'm using this kind of bumpy line to show that there's a tree in the foreground. And then this line, that one of the first ones that we started with, that's going to become the kind of rocky texture. Okay, and the technique I'm using right now is contour drawing. To map out some of that rocky texture right before it falls over into that natural waterfall. Okay, so I'm breaking up that orthogonal line we started with, and the waterfall itself is coming down at this time of year in small spurts. And to render this, you can use these kind of short flicking strokes. Okay. They don't all want to be the same length. You want some variation, some quite tiny and some quite long, in order to make it look like there's a waterfall. Okay, you can see some of the underside of the rock over here. And it gets thinner as it goes to the left side. That's a really beautiful outcropping of rock right there. It's quite a really stunning location. Okay, Doug. Just a couple more things we'll add. In front of this building, there's another, there's a tree in the foreground. That actually goes right over that left side vanishing point, so we can kind of cover it up. Then lastly, all over on the top side in the background, you can use light lines to draw out these branches, these branching trees that don't have a whole lot of leaves on them at this time of year. There are some portions of the building that I realize I left out, but you know what? I'm not going to stress about it. This is meant to be a study, pretty intense study, right? But small, and it's just the point of this is to give you some good practice with looking at a reference image and then reconstructing it using what you know about two-point perspective. Okay. I'm just going to let these guys kind of extend down. See some of these guys in the background over here. Again, when you're drawing this sort of thing, you can be pretty free with your technique. However, just want to think as you go, and really you're kind of thinking with your hands, because you want to add in as much variation as you can. Okay, it doesn't all want to look like a bunch of Y shapes going everywhere. All right, guys, so there you have it. That's a sketch slash study of falling water by Frank Lloyd Wright using a, just a ruler and a reference image, okay? Hopefully you had fun with that. Good luck. I'll see you in class.